Press your use key to engage the tray. Press your forward and backward keys to increase or decrease the speed of the tray. Press your use key again.
Half-Life was originally released back in 1998 for the PC as Valve's very first ever debut game and published by Sierra, and was later released for the PlayStation 2 and originally was supposed to come out even for the Sega Dreamcast at one point. However, what you're seeing on screen at the moment is the source version of Half-Life on PC, which was originally released back in 2004, and it includes the original Half-Life game in its entirety, now running on Valve's own source engine, which also includes some minor tweaks, bug fixes, enhanced textures, and much prettier water and lighting. However, Half-Life would do more than just come out on different platforms and enhanced versions. Half-Life would go on and change the FPS genre forever. It would set the standard for all future first-person shooter games to come, as well as bring life, no pun intended, to countless mods that would utilize its engine, including Counter-Strike and Team Fortress, to name a few. All of whom that worked on and created these mods with the Half-Life game engine would also end up working for Valve in the future. Valve was one of the very first developers to fully 100% support the modding community by giving them full access to the game engine and files. These mods would later become full-fledged games themselves through Valve and become their own franchises and give birth to Valve's online game distribution service, Steam, which in my opinion is the best PC platform for gaming, bar none. But not only that, Valve would become so successful with Half-Life and Steam, all future games from the company would be entirely self-published. All of this from a single game. So let's find out if Valve's Half-Life lives up to its legendary reputation in today's very first episode of Infinite Backlog.
Why do we all have to wear these ridiculous ties?
In Half-Life, you play as Gordon Freeman, and the only information you are given about Gordon is simply what you see on screen. 27 years old with a PhD, working as a research associate at Black Mesa Research Facility, and running late with not a single word to say. The game greets you with a wonderful and still even by today's standards, impressive introduction showing you through the Black Mesa Research Facility on its tram system. But obviously a game about being late for work at a research facility wouldn't be interesting for very long, and things go very wrong very fast.
Get away from the shutting down. No. Attempting shutdown. It's not shutting down. It's not.
These things tend to happen when working with portals to alien dimensions. So you as Gordon grab your trusty crowbar and fight for your life to escape the Black Mesa Research Facility, all while avoiding numerous aliens, head crabs, fellow employees turned head crab zombies, and even the military out to kill you, and everyone at the facility to cover it up. So let's kick things off with the good.
So, who's this guy, Freeman? They said it was at Ground Zero. Science team? You think he was responsible? Sabotage, maybe? Yeah, maybe. I only know for sure he's been killing my buddies. Oh yeah, he'll pay. He will definitely pay.
One of my favorite things about Half-Life is the story. Although it's not entirely complicated or amazingly well written or anything like that, without giving anything away, it includes government conspiracies, G-men, cover-ups, aliens, other worlds and dimensions, disaster scenarios, and all of these things are right up my alley for any good sci-fi story, and Half-Life checks them all off the list. But not only that, just the way the story is also presented in the first person is something done extremely well in this game.
Why are the
Having Gordon as a mute allows you the player to express how you feel in any given situation through your actions, which is something pretty fun to do at times if you're getting really immersed with the game. The game is also a good length, clocking in a little over 12 hours for me personally. But on top of that, the gameplay overall is fantastic. The controls for all the weapons, despite most of them having no iron sights, are extremely tight and responsive, including all of the movement controls and jumping, which also includes crouch jumping, something most modern shooters have all but forgotten, which is something you'll definitely need to master later on for plenty of platforming moments if you plan on playing this. Another shining aspect of Half-Life is the gunplay. As I mentioned earlier, the controls are extremely tight and responsive, and the guns themselves feel great. Seriously, the revolver in Half-Life is probably one of the most satisfying weapons ever. But not only that, the number of weapons at Gordon's disposal is immense and varied. You've got everything from your typical rifle, pistol, shotgun, crossbow, and explosives, and best of all, some insanely awesome alien and unique weapons.
It's much too unpredictable. Don't let it overcharge. What do you mean, over?
But most importantly, the trademark of the franchise, the crowbar, which can also be used to smash boxes to find health drops and ammunition. Half-Life also does a great job of making you take full advantage of each of these weapons in any given situation. Half-Life also includes a number of platforming moments and great level design, something most modern FPSs have forgotten altogether or abandoned entirely. And the platforming is never too hard or complicated, and for me personally, it's one of the most standout things about the first Half-Life. Half-Life also has some really well done puzzles to incorporate with the platforming, and delivers a nice change of pace from the linear shooting. Some of the puzzles range from simply pressing a few buttons or moving things around, to some really well done boss fight segments that involve doing a number of things in order to kill them first. Which brings me to my next favorite thing about Half-Life, the boss fights. The boss fights in this game, although few in between admittedly, aren't your typical big giant health bars and different attack patterns. In fact, the boss fights in Half-Life are more or less dodging their attacks and setting something up to kill them in some spectacular fashion, or just simply shooting down a helicopter, which sounds way simpler than it is. But probably my next favorite thing aside from the story in this game is the soundtrack. For the most part, Half-Life doesn't have any background music or themes going on consistently, but when music does decide to start playing at key moments in the game, it's absolutely brilliant. But not even a legendary game like Half-Life is perfect. So let's move on to the bad. Probably my biggest issue with Half-Life is the lackluster and, in my opinion, downright boring last section of the game known as Zen. After surviving the military, all kinds of creatures, alien soldiers, going through secret labs, and deadly platforming, hell, even ninjas, the final segment of the game has you visiting the alien world known as Zen. Which sounds like a fun time, right? Nope! Zen is primarily low-gravity platforming and fighting really annoying flying aliens for the next 2 hours and solving some pretty fairly dumb puzzles. Overall, I thought Zen was easily the weakest part of the game for me personally, and was just really lackluster in comparison to the rest of the game. But not only that, the final boss fight on Zen is one of the most annoying boss fights I can think of in recent memory, without giving away too much. He pretty much shoots teleportation balls at you, which then send you to a room where you have to platform to the very top, while shooting floating aliens for the millionth time, and then teleport back to him, and continue to blast away at him while he teleports you to another room a dozen times, where you have to repeat the same thing over and over and over. It's one of the most tedious and unfun boss fights I've played, and easily the worst part of Half-Life in my opinion. But on a more minor note, the AI is fairly stupid at times for your fellow scientists, who you can have follow you around to open doors to gain access to items and whatnot, or the security guards who protect you. But fat chance of them being any good at that. The enemy AI at times is also pretty stupid as well, almost simply standing in place at times while I shoot them. Ladders in this game are also the bane of my existence, and you'll tend to get glued to them a lot, which can be somewhat annoying, or when trying to go down them you'll just fall instead. On another minor note, some of the sound effects are also pretty bad, to being non-existent at times. But not even the best sound effects can prevent the ugly. Where I discuss graphics. Now, graphically, Half-Life isn't that amazing looking in comparison to more modern games, but that's obvious considering its age. But back when this game came out in 1998, this was cutting-edge stuff. Hell, I'd argue Half-Life was easily one of the best-looking games in the 1990s. But not only graphically is Half-Life amazing, the atmosphere in this game is amazingly well done. From the perfectly done musical cues, to the feeling of despair and the need to escape when everything is going to shit early on in the game. Half-Life is brimming with an unforgettable atmosphere that has had me coming back to it for years. The source version of the game in particular also adds some nice additions including HD resolution, improved textures, character models, and lighting, all while including the source engine physics as well. You gotta love those ragdoll effects. However, everything isn't perfect once again. I did run into the odd graphical glitch and bug every now and then. And the loading sequences in between areas can be pretty jarring at first, but they're pretty short, so this is just a minor gripe. But at times, the game does have the odd hiccup in between loading areas. In conclusion, despite my issues and nitpicking, Half-Life is an amazing game that I would recommend to anyone who hasn't played it yet, or any first-person shooter fans, and can be easily found on Steam or online nowadays for cheap. It also paved the way for Valve, Steam, and its modding community, and became one of the most well-known franchises in gaming. Half-Life's legacy will forever be remembered as the groundbreaking game that would forever change the first-person shooter community and landscape for years to come. Despite my issues I had with this game, the good heavily outweighs the bad, and I had a ton of fun replaying this game. Overall, I give Half-Life Source radioactive decaying particles out of Half-Life. It's pretty good.
Where are we taking this Freeman guy? Topside for questioning. What the hell for? We got him. Let's kill him now. And if they find the body? Body? What body?